welcome to another Silverbird Selection game review video, and this time I'm looking at a game released in the Silver Range packaging in 1986. It's Harvey Headbanger. Very common game to find out there on eBay and other retro gaming shops. My copy cost me just £1.49, so a nice cheap game. Let's see if it's worth that money or not. Okay, let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see, very colourful artwork on the front there. There's Harvey Headbanger with a cocktail in his hands hanging from the ceiling. The reason for that will become clear soon enough. And it's a typical Silver Range packaging. A nice logo as well. Very nicely done. The picture then wraps around onto the spine, again with the Harvey Headbanger logo. And on the back cover we've got a couple of very colourful screenshots. And the description of the game is quite hard to read, but I'll try and read it. Kind of clashes with the background a little bit. Harvey Headbanger, Hamish Highball battle it out with fat bellies and hard heads for domination of the cocktail cabinet. And you can see the cocktails on the bar behind there as well. So pretty nice artwork for the inlay there. Inside we've got the usual list of games available in the Firebird range. Pretty short lists for each system at that point. And the in-crowd Silver Club advert as well. So let's get on to the instructions. Harvey Headbanger, copyright 1986, R. Hughes, Commodore 64 version by Kevin Moutin, or Moutin, I'm not quite sure how you say that. So the description of the game: Harvey Headbanger and his great rival Hamish Highball are both very aggressive characters. They scrap continually just for the fun of it, using their only weapons, a large belly and a strong head. They try and bounce each other as far away as they can. When you bump into your rival, you'll be temporarily blacked out, and during this time you'll suffer a severe headache and move in an unpredictable manner. However, you can numb the pain by drinking highly refreshing cocktails which appear occasionally. You should slurp these down as noisily as you can. Actually, it says up as noisily as you can, but you get the idea. So yeah, that's an interesting premise for a game. Got loading instructions and then some gameplay instructions as well, with the controls, lots of controls there. You can see it's a 1 or 2 player game. You can use keyboard or joystick. There's a bunch of other controls from the function keys as well. But it says at the bottom there, detailed instructions on how to play the game are given within the program, and you're advised to study these carefully. So when it loads, I will do. Here's the loading screen, and as you can see, the artwork of the loading screen is very similar to the artwork of the front cover of the game. You've got Harvey Headbanger and Hamish Highball swinging around and drinking their drinks. And if you spot in the bottom corner, you can see Sir 86, which tells us that this was another loading screen done by Stephen Robertson. Okay, so the game's loaded, and as you can see, a very yellow screen is presented to us. No graphics on there, it's all text, lots of information on there. The main one is that you can press spacebar for the instructions. Well, actually the main one is that you can play the game from it, but pressing spacebar for the instructions gives you several pages of instructions, which I'm not going to read out, but basically they tell you how to play the game, which I'm going to do while we're playing the game. So some of that information is the same as what was in the instructions in the packaging, and then there's a little bit more information about things you can pick up, various other things which I'll mention when we get to playing the game itself, but I'll quickly skim through them. So plenty of detail there, which is helpful if you need it. Interesting note there, so you can play either side and even swap during a game. You automatically take control of the side whose direction keys you press. Presumably if you've got 2 joysticks plugged in, you could swap over halfway through if you wanted to, or something like that. I don't know why you'd want to, but there you go. You can also do a demo, rolling demo, which I'll just briefly show, but I'm not going to do it for long because we're going to be playing the game anyway. But there you go, you can see what you're expecting to see when we start the game. That's enough of the demo. And also when you go back to the title screen, you get that image from the loading screen displayed on screen, which is nice too. But let's get on with the game itself. So it's P to play the game. So you're presented with a list of different cocktails that you can pick up. They all do the same thing. I don't think there's anything special about them. They're just different graphics basically. Then there's the rules for the contest between the 2 characters. So it says no hitting below the belt, no spitting, first player to win 10 games will be declared the champion, but you can actually change that option, so you can go for more games or less. 10 is quite a lot, so I'm going to knock it down to 5. In fact, 4 is probably good enough for the purposes of this demonstration of the game. The rest of the rules are irrelevant really, it's just a bit of fun. It's not, none of these things are actually possible, like spitting and hitting below the belt. It's just a bit of comedy on the part of the developer, I think. So let's get the game started. As you can see, the two characters start moving around and bouncing into each other and so forth by themselves. So that gives me the opportunity to show you one of the features of the game, which I think is quite nice, which is that you can change the background colours. Now, I will say that most of the background colour combinations are not great, but I do wonder if this was put in to help people who are colourblind or red-green colourblind, so there's other options that would work for them, because obviously if you can't tell the difference between the two colours, you're in big trouble. So, oh, there we go. Now actually, while all that was going on, my character's actually won a round. It will restart in a second. To get back to the beginning, there are a lot of different options. There we go. There's no doubt the red and blue is the best option, but it is quite a nice feature and very forward thinking if it was for accessibility purposes. So now let's get on to actually playing the game. So you might have seen that while I was cycling through the colours, or you might not. But the idea of the game is to completely encircle the opposing player with your coloured tiles. Now I'm the guy in the red waistcoat who is Hamish Highball, and I'm trying to draw blue squares to go around Harvey Headbanger, who's doing red squares whilst wearing a blue waistcoat, so it's a little bit confusing. Now when you bump into each other, you lose control of your movement completely, and you just move around randomly like a pair of drunks, which is basically what you are in this game, is a pair of drunks bouncing around on these strange wall bars, moving around trying to encircle the other one with a colour. You can also get cocktails by encircling a blank square with one colour, which I'll try and demonstrate again here. There we go. And that builds up a gauge on the right hand side in my case, and the left for Harvey, which is a straw filling up with liquid, and the more that fills, the less time you end up dizzy when you bash into the opposing player. So I can hopefully demonstrate that now. I should recover faster than he does. Yeah, you can still see he's bouncing around. The other problem is when you're both bouncing around, it's hard to tell which of you is which, because you're both sort of black coloured. So again, I should recover much sooner, which gives me more chance of controlling where I'm moving. Now the movement is, you're perpetually in motion, you never stand still, so all you're really doing is controlling which way you go along these kind of, I can only describe them as wall bars really. It's a bit of a strange arrangement, but so yeah, that's the idea of the game. Simply surround the opposing player with the opposing colour, and there we go, just like that. And you win a round, and the first one to win however many rounds you've chosen is the overall winner. So I'm 2 up, so that's a nice position to be in. Let's talk about the graphics. Obviously the main gameplay area is pretty simple. It's just a bunch of squares that go one colour or the other. I think the straws down the side are a nice touch. The graphics for the cocktails, the sprites for those are pretty basic, nothing really to write home about. The main charm of the game is in the two characters, who as you can see are quite silly looking, quite rotund. The animation of them moving around along these wall bar things is quite nicely done, and they're fairly cute. I think they're like sort of two cute and cuddly drunks at a pub, basically, is the best way to describe them. Yeah, that's it for the graphics really. Sound, the music is perhaps not the most refined of SID tunes, but it's by Ben Dalglish, I believe, and not too bad I think. It's quite jolly, suits the game quite well, and there's also some sounds as well, such as when you bump into each other and when you win a round, which are also quite nice. So I'm 3-0 up, it's going pretty well really. It helped that I won that game while I wasn't even really participating, I suppose. So it's a very simplistic game really. In essence, it's just a party game style thing. It's one player versus the other, trying to outdo each other You know, much like a sort of Bomberman style game, I suppose. Not really the same idea exactly, but certainly some similarities with those kind of games, done in a sort of grid style play area. Let's just see if I can round things off. There's not really any cause to play it again if I can beat him. No, he's got me this time. So he's surrounded me with red, and therefore I've lost a life. Or lost a round, I should say. So this is, as I mentioned earlier, it's got a 2-player mode. So I think it would probably be more fun with 2 players playing against each other rather than against the computer. There are different difficulty levels for the computer opponents. I haven't tried any of the others. I didn't really see the point. Oh, wow, he rounded me up pretty quickly there. So I'm not sure if it gets any harder with the higher difficulty level. Presumably it does, that's the point, but I don't know how much harder it gets. So let's just see if we can finish this off once and for all without me losing another life and bringing it down to sudden death. The tactic I find is basically just to follow him round, trying to undo what he's just done, and usually that will result in you eventually surrounding him. There might be more strategy to that, but I haven't worked it out if there is. We do keep bouncing into each other at the moment, which is quite frustrating. But sometimes you can actually win a game while you're bouncing around just by pure fluke, and there does seem to be a little bit of luck in it. I think there's some skill involved as well. I thought I'd got him then. That was a bit frustrating. I was so close to rounding him up. But you can see we're just going around in circles here. One of us will eventually entrap the other one. There we go. I did it, and I've won the round and the game. So all is well. I won 4 games to 2, and I'm the winner of this bizarre drinking based duel. So let's get on with the review scores. There's nothing much more to say about the game. So as always, we'll start with the packaging, which I'm going to give 7 out of 10. I think the front cover was good. The instructions are fairly limited inside, but it does make it very clear that the instructions are available in game. But overall I think the packaging was pretty nice. Nice artwork and some good screenshots on the back. Presentation I think is excellent again. It's got the instructions as I've mentioned, you've got a demo, you've got all the key controls and stuff, and also that facility to change the colour scheme is really useful as well. Would have benefited from a bit of music on the title screens and perhaps a little bit more in the way of graphics. But I still think it's really good presentation, so I'm going to give that 8 out of 10. Graphics, fairly simplistic, although the animation is good on the main player sprites. I'm going to go 6 for the graphics. Sound is pretty nice as well. You've got the music, which is pretty decent, and also some sound effects as well in game. So 7 out of 10 for the sound. Playability, it's a pretty simple game, and I think there's not much longevity in it, but it's good for a bit of fun for 10 minutes playing against a computer or playing against another opponent. So while it's quite playable, it's probably not the most long lasting of games. I'm going to give it 6 out of 10 for playability. That gives it an overall score of 7.3. Definitely worth the $1.99 asking price. It's a good budget game and a nice 2-player experience as well. So yeah, not too bad at all. Quite impressed with that one. So that's my thoughts on Harvey Headbanger. If you've played this game, then let me know what you think about it in the comments. Okay, that was Harvey Headbanger, and that was my 30th game review of the series so far, which means next time around my next video will be a look back at the last 10 reviews I've done and comparing those reviews to those of Zap and also Lemon64 user reviews. So tune in for that pretty soon. Of course, I need you to choose a game for me to play in a future video as well. So with Halloween coming up, I thought I'd give the next game choice a spooky theme. So 2 different games to choose from with a spooky Halloween kind of theme. The choices are Cauldron or Go Go the Ghost. So let me know in the comments which of those 2 spooky games you fancy for me to play around Halloween time, and I'll play them. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon in another video. Bye for now.